I was wandering in the forest edge to amuse myself when I realized I got totally lost. What's that sound? All of a sudden, a blur of golden and black spots leaped towards me. I'm doomed! Guys, I'm here in Africa on vacation to support my parents with their new reality show. Oh, duty calls. See you later, Moaz. Hi, I'm Vivian, an influencer from Aachen, Germany. My mom and dad are actors, which does have some perks. They gave me everything I wanted. Branded clothes, supercars, fancy phones. Except for one thing. Their time. Christmas, birthdays, graduation ceremony, whatever the occasion, they missed it. My friends thought I had the perfect life, but my only wish was to be picked up at school by my parents once. I was hoping this trip would be different, but it seems nothing has changed. They seem to have forgotten about their daughter's presence. Duh. That's why I always had to rely on strangers' attention like this. Being here alone was so boring, so I decided to amuse myself by live streaming in the forest edge. Hey viewers! Oh crumbs, I only have one signal bar. Hang on. Looks like I wandered further than I meant to. No worries. What's that sound? All of a sudden, a blur of golden and black spots leaped towards me. I'm doomed! I still haven't eaten caviar pizza, and I still don't own a Gucci bag in every color! I haven't even become prom queen! I can't die! Wait, were my eyes deceiving me? Or was the leopard really knocked out by some jungle guy swinging on a vine? Oh boy, he sure does resemble Tarzan.
Beautiful!
Thank you? I turned to reach for my phone and realized it had fallen on the ground, and I was still live streaming. Viewers were bombarding me with sad and wow face emojis and flooding my comments with concerned messages. Then my parents and the crew showed up. Turns out this guy had been lost in the jungle since he was a little boy, and he was raised by monkeys. His parents had passed away by now. I know, but I got lost too. Then, Mom and Dad announced that they'd bring this jungle boy home under the guise of being charitable. Pfft, wasn't it for publicity? They named him Taz and gave him a makeover. Well, at least they tried to. All the suits he tried on tore, as he was way too muscly. It took an entire box of candy bars to make him agree to shave, and he still refused to cut his hair. He could only speak a limited number of words and sentences he remembered from being a kid, so Mom and Dad had to hire a tutor to teach him to read and write, which was me. He hated living in the house, and after several occasions where he climbed out of the window and slept in the garden, my parents built him an amazing jungle zone room. But then he kept me awake all night with his incessant ape howling noises. My parents even brought him to their shows, and all they talked about every day was Taz this, Taz that, which made me feel like an outsider. This was really hard for me, but I tried to be patient. Then one day, my parents told me the worst news ever.
Taz is going to come to school with you as your bodyguard. We don't have time to do it. At least this time we'll know you'll be safe.
What? But I don't need a bodyguard! Especially not one that can't even speak properly. Taz knows basic conversation now. I don't see the problem. So the next day, Taz started to stick to me. I set some ground rules. He had to stay 10 feet away from me at all times, and he wasn't allowed to mutter a single word to me. Thankfully, Mia, my bestie, was there to provide some normality to the freak show that was currently my life. Coffee for the hottie.
Don't drink. Me test first. Taz say safe for V to drink.
Yummy! Then I quickly explained everything to her. He's kinda hot, in a wild way. Don't you dare say that again! But later, despite my rules, Taz stuck to me like glue.
Parents told Taz must guard V.
Worst of all, the other students treated him like a celebrity. They took his photo, asked him dumb questions which caused traffic congestion in the hall. He immediately ran up the wall like a ninja to escape the crowd, making them even more excited and chase after him. That night, I checked my Instagram and was excited to see that I was only 2K followers away from 500K. Yahoo! Then an account caught my eye. That dude even has a fan page? For real? He stole my parents, my school popularity, and now he's trying to steal my followers too? What's with these crazy people? Why are they all so obsessed with him? At least there still exists a normal person, and handsome as well. Yeah, my Henry. I've secretly liked him for years, but even this sassy Instagram queen has a weakness. Just looking at him made my legs shake, so I admired him in secret. The next day, I was sneakily putting letters and gifts on Henry's desk when Taz interrupted.
Why we do that?
Ugh, it's for love. When you really like someone, you show them with romantic gestures. Okay, it's like giving your last morsel of food to someone even though you're extremely hungry. Got it? Seeing as Taz was huge, it was no surprise he was soon asked to join the basketball team. Guess who else was on it? Yep, Henry. So I've got an idea. Maybe Taz was my way of getting closer to him. I asked Taz to give Henry a soda, but Taz accidentally shook it too hard. So when Henry opened it, he got totally soaked. Then I told Taz to support Henry during the match, but Taz was so into the game that he accidentally pushed Henry's pants down, revealing his Hello Kitty underwear. Everyone laughed at him, and he was so humiliated that he ran off the court. After the match, Taz came to me saying he was sorry, then continued,
Taz not like Henry.
I decided it was better to separate Taz and Henry before he ruined everything. All right, so I think it's best if you quit basketball.
But Taz likes basketball.
No big deal. I can ask my parents to build you a private basketball court and play with you? But from now on, you'll have to listen to me.
The best ape ever!
Shh, stop saying silly things. Taz seemed so grateful for his new basketball court that he started caring about me more. He brought me an overload of fresh fruit, a bit too fresh, and checked it on whenever I was sad. I had just been at ease for a while before Taz was messing around again. I had a movie premiere to attend and was about to change into my stunning Versace dress, only to discover it had been swapped for a dress made from actual leaves.
Green! Beautiful, she said.
Luckily, I managed to arrange another dress just in time. But at the premiere, when the press interviewed me, Taz appeared.
The best ape ever!
I was so embarrassed. I turned bright red and forgot my words. Thanks to Taz, I became a netizen laughingstock. I swear that I would pay this back, and my chance finally came. The audience loved Taz, but big crowds freaked him out, and he always tried to find a way to hide. During one press conference, I saw him run off frightened, so I followed him. Hey Taz, is there a place that will make you feel better? I can take you there.
We take Taz to jungle? Taz happy.
So I took him to the Dower Forest. As soon as we got there, Taz's mood changed. He ran wild and then stopped at a large oak tree.
Why letters?
This is the bridegroom's oak tree. Local people like to leave love letters here. Then we sat down under the tree, and Taz looked so upset.
Taz not like bright light and flashes.
That's okay. We can just chill here, right? Great. Seeing Taz leave the show on his own, then surely Mom and Dad wouldn't like him anymore. Only, when we returned home, my parents weren't furious with Taz, but with me.
Vivian, you should be setting a good example for Taz, not just inciting and taking him away from important events. Can you stop acting like a child and think before you act for once?
I shut myself in my room and I had a complete meltdown. Then I rang Mia to confide in her. Living with Taz is a nightmare. He has to leave. What do you mean? I'm going to find a way to kick him out. The next day at school, I was walking along the hallway when Henry appeared in front of me.
You have to convince Taft to rejoin the basketball team. We can't win the final without him. Please, I'll do anything you want.
Wow, seems like my Christmas gift came early. Anything you say? How about taking me to prom?
Actually, that's what I've always wanted to do. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
I was frozen. This was incredible! I guess my kick-out Taz plan would have to wait for now. So I humbled myself to convince him. As expected, with the help of Taz, the team won. Only neither he or Henry showed up to get their trophy. I went looking for them and found Taz pouncing on Henry. Taz, stop it! But he was too full off rage to listen to me, so I had to jump between them.
He is completely out of control. You can forget about the prom then.
This is all your fault. You stole everything from me since the day you were back from that freaky jungle, and now you've beaten up my crush. All you've done is ruin my life. Why can't you just give me alone? Then he left. For real. This felt great, as I'd finally got rid of the thorn in my eye. Only, I couldn't shake away this empty feeling. Scrolling through my old comments didn't help, and neither did live streaming. I suddenly realized I missed the special way Taz cared about me. And when with him, I didn't have to hide or force myself to be anything other than me. I aimlessly wandered to Dodoor Forest and stopped at the oak tree. A letter poking out of the hole caught my eye. I picked it up and recognized it was Taz's try-to-be-neat but scribbled handwriting.
Henry liar. He's with Mia.
My head was still spinning when my phone went crazy. I checked and saw my inbox was full of rude comments. Then I soon found the viral audio. Living with Taz is a nightmare. He has to leave. I'm going to find a way to kick him out. I was literally petrified for a few seconds, while netizens kept going crazy, saying I was so ungrateful to Taz even after he'd saved my life. How could she? I immediately went to Mia's house to confront her about it. It was you, the only one I confided my story. Oh well, Miss Obvious. It was me. So what? Henry's mine, not yours. He just told you what you wanted to hear to get Taz back on the team. But that moron overheard Henry talking to me and dared to hurt him. You! Hi's, talk about the jungle, dud. Total simp and stupid. I told him you'd love a leaf dress and he totally bought it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to get my hair done for a date with Henry. Mwah. I felt like an elephant had slapped right on the face. So Taz was right. Back home, I gloomily pulled out Taz's letter. But hold on, there's still another part. Why didn't I realize it sooner? Right then, my parents arrived home. They'd heard that audio and were absolutely furious.
It's your fault Taz ran away. Now we have to compensate for the contracts of the shows he was supposed to be in. You don't care about anyone! Says you! All you do is give me money and that's it. You're never there when I need you. Never! Even Taz cares about me more than you both do. Then I ran off right away. I kept going until I ended up under this bridge. Then I saw him. He was playing with some stray cats and dogs. I immediately ran to hug him and started apologizing, but he pointed behind me and said, "Bad guys, bad guys." I turned around to see two figures headed this way. I dragged Taz into the corner and we watched them bundle the cats and dogs into sacks. They were definitely up to no good, so I used my phone to record them, but...
What you aiming at, kids?
I woke up feeling dizzy to realize that we were both tied up in an abandoned house.
Still no reply from her parents. They better pay up, or else.
You're wasting your time. They don't care about me. The thieves ignored me and kept calling and calling, but still no answer. That was it. I was gonna die here. Then, when it was pitch black out there, the door barged open and walked in Mom and Dad with a bag of money. As the thieves counted the money, Dad tried dialing the police, but one of them came throwing his phone right away and beat him up.
Say goodbye to your daughter.
Please don't hurt her. Hurt me instead. This really shocked me, as I'd only ever seen other people bowing to my parents before, not the other way around. The one guy raised a plank of wood to hit me, but right at this time, Taz leaped free and knocked them out cold. The police arrived soon after that and arrested the thieves. Mom and Dad immediately rushed to me. Are you okay, sweetie? We were worried sick when you were nowhere to be seen, and we're sorry for making you feel unwanted.
We never had money growing up and struggled a lot. That's why we wanted a different life for you. We kept working and thought giving you money over our time was the best way to show our love, but we were wrong.
Mom, Dad, what I really need from you is your presence. It's more precious than anything. And thank you for everything.
Okay, I protect V. I protect animals too.
Now I've realized what I needed the most. It was to always stay true to myself, like this dummy. I didn't want to be some fancy influencer anymore. Instead, Taz inspired me to use my reputation to establish an organization to care for abandoned animals. As for my dear ex-best friend and dear ex-crush, meh, they didn't matter to me anymore. 'Cause you know what? The sweetest revenge is to live a fabulous life. At the end of the prom, I asked Taz about the note. Taz, did you write this?
I'm glad you asked. I practiced many times to say those words. Now time to say officially. I like you, V. You're my best ape ever.
Do you know what it feels like to live in a splendidly luxurious castle, wearing extravagant dresses, indulging in exquisite dishes, and always having servants take care of you? Well, actually, I don't really know either. I'm just a little maid who's fortunate enough to be friends with Princess Anne. Oh, by the way, my name is Diana, and I was born in the palace of a small European kingdom. Sounds like a fairy tale, doesn't it? Well, I don't exactly live a fairy tale life. I'm only here because of my mother, Stella. She had devoted her entire life to serve the queen, so in return, I was allowed to live in the castle. And when I grew up, I became a servant to Princess Anne, who was just a few ages older than me, so we immediately hit it off. Ironically, though, I'm not quite cut out to be a servant. I'm a bit, okay, maybe very clumsy, and I tend to be less helpful than I actually should. When all is quiet, it's likely that I've just hidden myself away in the library, lost in its endless sea of books. It would be more fun if Anne was just as happy to spend time in the library as me, but she doesn't care much for reading or studying. She said it makes you age like crazy. But still, she must attend her mandatory classes, by the Queen's order, of course, although she'd much better enjoy cooking, cleaning, and decorating. So whenever there weren't ice on us, Anne and I would help each other out. I would sneak into her classes, listen to the tutor attentively so I could help her with assignments later. In return, she'd help me with the palace's errands. Anne was how I imagined having a sister is like. We just got each other's back. I knew the real Anne. I supported her passion for baking even when her own mother forbade her, and I was the only one who knew about her big crush on Count Harold, who often came bearing tributes from the people. Anne was so kind that she always gave me plenty of good food to share with Mom and other maids. But Mom wasn't too thrilled about this. For some reason, she was always anxious seeing how close me and Anne were. Don't forget your place, Diana. Princess Anne is still royalty, and you're just a little maid. Be sure you never cross the line with her. She's just trying to help us, Mom. Don't worry, I'll be careful. Then one day, Anne found a beautiful vintage dress from her closet and convinced me to try it on. I agreed, and once I stepped out of the changing screen, Anne was amazed. See, you'd make such a gorgeous princess. Did I ever tell you you remind me so much of my aunt, the late Queen Mary? I don't have much memories of her, but I've seen her picture in the royal family tree, and you very much share the same aura with her. I wish, Anne, but if I were a princess, I would have people do whatever I want. Like, fetch me my robes, servant, and when you're finished, my toes could use a salt bath. We were just messing around when Mom came storming in. Diana, how dare you desecrate the princess? I told you not to cross the... She didn't finish her words, but fell to the ground, holding her chest in pain. I rushed over to her as Anne ran to the hallway looking for help. Mom! Diana, I need to tell you something. No, Mom, save your strength. The doctor will be here any minute now. No, Diana, you listen to me. I've been hiding the truth from you your entire life. It's time you learn. What? What do you mean? I'm not your birth mother, Diana. Just find my safe, okay? The answers are there. And don't tell anyone. She took one last breath before closing her eyes. The doctors rushed in, but it was too late. She had a heart attack with a pre-existing heart condition, so she didn't stand a chance. I spent the next week doing nothing except grieving my mother's passing. It didn't even bother me that we were not genetically tied. In my eyes, Stella was my mother, the only family I had. She loved and cared for me more than anyone else ever could. It hurt to even be here in her room, feeling her presence surrounding this place. But as I was going through her stuff, I accidentally stepped on a section of the floor that sounded hollow. It immediately sprung open, revealing a secret cellar underneath. The first thing I noticed was an intricate key-shaped necklace. Next to it was a letter, unveiling that this was an heirloom from my birth mother, who was none other than Queen Mary herself. Even more shockingly, she was still alive. On the day I was born, by Miranda's order, I was separated from Queen Mary, and she was held captive in the castle's dungeon. If it weren't for her pleading Miranda not to harm me, I might have been thrown into some orphanage far away. Instead, I was placed in Stella's care, as Miranda wanted to keep a close eye on me to prevent any chance of betrayal. Stella had regretted following Miranda's order ever since, as she grew to love me like her true daughter. She wanted to run away with me, but the thought of Miranda finding out and putting her family in danger stopped her. But she'd hoped that one day I'd be reunited with my mother. None of this felt real. My hands were still shaking as I held the letter. I need the answer to all my questions. I owed it to my mother to fulfill her dying wish. That night, following the instructions my mother left in her letter, I pretended to be a maid bringing food to prisoners and went down the secret tunnel. There were no guards in the large abandoned prison, only a thin, emaciated woman. Slowly and carefully, I approached her. Are you Queen Mary? I handed her the necklace. The woman's eyes lit up, and she looked up at me in shock, tears welling in her eyes. Diana. I nodded. She pulled me into her arms and cried in joy. But then she abruptly pulled away from me. What are you doing down here? Miranda is going to find out. It's too dangerous. You need to leave. It's okay. No one knows I'm here. They won't find me. Still, it's too risky. My sister is an evil woman. She always wanted to be the queen. So she picked the day I was at my weakest to imprison me, subdue you, and falsely declared my demise during childbirth. That's how she eliminates any obstacles that stop her from seizing the kingdom. But Miranda will never be the queen in people's heart. She's nothing more than an oppressor, and it pains me to know she has corrupted our kingdom. But you are here now, Diana. You're the true heir to the throne. You have to stop Miranda. Me? I still haven't dared to believe any of this is real. I grew up just a little maid who's never been formally educated. What can I possibly do to overthrow someone in control of an entire country? Diana, I'm sorry I couldn't give you a better childhood, but I know, deep inside, you are a strong, resilient girl. Stella told me all the time how smart and bright you are, as she brought me food. Me and her both believed in you. You have the power to make things right. My mind was still swirling with all this new information, things that just seemed impossible, unbelievable. I understand why you might be doubtful, but here, leave the palace and test your DNA against mine. Once you confirm your identity, you can decide what to do next, but you can't stay inside the castle any longer. 'Cause once Miranda finds out you know the truth, she won't leave you alone. I hesitated for a moment, but I knew what needed to be done. So, early in the morning, I packed up some belongings and grabbed some food before sneaking into a freight truck that was about to leave. But then I suddenly bumped into someone.
Hey, watch where you're going!
Shh! Keep it down!
Why? Don't tell me you're some kind of thief.
No, I'm a maid. I'm just not allowed to go outside the palace. But, the princess desperately wants to make a Dutch chocolate cake, and the storage is out of ingredients, so I need to go to market.
And did you plan to sneak into my truck and have a free ride there?
I didn't know it was your truck, but if you can help me, that would be lovely.
And what would I get in return?
My company.
Fair enough. It's a lonely ride. By the way, what's your name?
Diana, what's yours?
People call me Harry. Now let's get going.
We hopped into the truck, and Harry turned out to be not such a bad companion. It was nice to have someone else my age to talk to for once, especially a handsome one. Then he turned on this music that's called pop. I swear, it was so good, I couldn't help grooving along.
This song is my favorite. Do you know it?
Nope. The Queen doesn't even allow us to own a radio.
Oh, wow. Maybe I can sneak one in for you.
I would absolutely love that. After a while of driving, we took a break in the forest to stretch our legs. I shared with Harry some cookies and baked earlier today, when suddenly a snake coiled around the lower part of my leg and sunk its teeth into it. Pain immediately shot up. Moments later, Harry dislodged the snake and threw it away. Then he leaned over, sucking the venom out of my wound without hesitation. I blushed, both confused and flattered. He grabbed some clean cloths in the truck and helped me bandage the wound.
I'm sorry, that was weird.
No, that was kind of you. And I really hate to say this, but I don't think the snake is poisonous. I read about it in a book once, but still, thank you for saving me. His face turned bright red even for minutes later. It was so cute. We then continued our journey. When we arrived in an aristocratic area where people seemed to be living in luxury, I began to doubt that the kingdom was as poor and in bad shape as Queen Mary had said, until we arrived at the commoner community. I was taken aback by the small buildings and houses that were old and crumbling. The market was basically desolate, with only a couple of sellers in sight. I couldn't even find any baking supplies there. It was growing dark, so Harry asked if I wanted to crash at his place. I had nowhere else to go, so I agreed. Harry's house was shockingly small, but it was clean and cozy. His father is a doctor, and his mom takes care of his 3-year-old sister. They kindly welcomed me and invited me to have dinner with them. Although it was frugal, to say the least, and I could tell that everyone was still hungry after the meal. I have a loaf of bread in my pack. I'd love to share it with you all if that's okay, to thank you for your hospitality. Harry's mother smiled and nodded, and his little sister squealed in delight as she dug into the loaf of bread.
Since the famine began, everyone has suffered, even the ones with good jobs. We've all needed to tighten our belts a bit.
Just then, a loud thumping sounded at the front door.
Open this door now, or we will kick it down!
As Harry and his parents rushed to the door, I hid in another room, afraid that I would be recognized. The guards were there demanding tax payment, or else the family would be removed from their home. It hurt me to watch them fork over the money, searching their pockets to count every last coin they had. That night, I tossed and turned. I couldn't stop thinking about how Queen Miranda could oppress her own people to this point. I was flooded with guilt, thinking about how gleefully Anne and I would share the tributes taken from these poor people, unaware that they were suffering and starving. I couldn't stay in bed any longer. I crept out into the hallway and down the stairs, and suddenly spotted Harry's father, reading a book under a lamplight. "I'm sorry to disturb you."
No worries. Anything I could help you with?
I actually do need your help. You see, I left the palace because I wanted to confirm something. If you could please compare my DNA to this person believes she's my birth mother.
Sure. It might take a couple of days.
That's fine, but please do not tell anyone about this. He looked confused, like he wanted to ask more questions, but seeing how reserved I was, he didn't. The next morning, I helped Harry and his mother clean up the houses of other people who couldn't pay the tax last night. The guards had ransacked a number of homes looking for the money, and now they were left starving and penniless. It couldn't go on like this. I need to find a way to feed the people first. So I came up with the idea of hunting some wild animals in the forest for food. Then I instructed each household to build a hidden cellar under the ground to store their food and keep their properties to themselves. I was so focused on the dire situation that I didn't even have time to worry about the DNA results until I received them that evening.
The result shows that you and the other person are indeed related.
I see.
It also shows that the other DNA belongs to the late Queen Mary. May I know how this is possible?
It's because Queen Mary is still alive. And if the result is true, that means I really am her daughter. At that moment, Harry unexpectedly entered the room, jaw dropped.
You're what?
I've made it. I'm on the paradise island of Koh Lanta, and I actually get to stay here at this luxurious beachside resort. Hey, I'm Achara, a 17-year-old girl from Krabi Town, Thailand. As amazing as this place is, I'm actually not here on vacation. Instead, I'm here to reunite with the boy I saved 10 years ago. I almost forgot he existed until last week when I came across a Facebook post by Thomas, a famous British swimmer, searching for the mystery girl who saved his life as a child. Thomas is currently in Thailand for business, so here I am, eager to finally see him again. I was waiting by the gate when suddenly sounds of rolling suitcases came from behind me. I turned around to see two girls about my age standing there. Who are they? Before I could say anything, the gate opened and a friendly woman invited us inside. According to Mrs. Danvish, Thomas's housekeeper, he had a training schedule in another city and wouldn't be back for a couple of days. Then she introduced us to each other. The short-haired girl is called Sarai, and the longer-haired girl is Kanda.
Dearie me, I must say that having 3 girls all claiming to be Thomas's savior came as a bit of a surprise. But I'm sure the truth will come out in the wash. Until then, please all stay here and make yourselves comfortable.
So, those two girls are pretending to be me? Unbelievable! But no problem. Thomas would soon realize I was the one he was looking for and would kick those imposters out of here. I dropped my suitcase off in my room, then went downstairs for dinner. As soon as I sat down, Sarai spoke out. Stop acting. I know you two fakers are just pretending to be me so you can get your hands on Thomas's fortune.
You're the fake one? Curly hair and a mole? You really have done your study, huh?
OMG, these two audacious girls were getting on my nerves. At that moment, Mrs. Danvish entered, followed by the waiter with a trolley full of the most delicious-looking food I'd ever laid eyes on. Now that Mrs. Danvish was here, the two imposters immediately changed their frosty attitudes to their bright smiles and sweet-as-pie acts.
Ladies, please help yourselves to food and drink. Then tomorrow morning, after you've all been well rested, we shall have a little chat.
But how am I supposed to enjoy the food when I have these two vultures glaring at me? I quickly finished my meal, then rushed back to my room. I must be well prepared for tomorrow. The next morning, a maid escorted me out to the garden for breakfast. The other two girls were already there. On seeing me, Kanda scowled at me, while Sarai made a point of sawing her knife through her omelet. I was about to help myself to some breakfast when suddenly Mrs. Danvish appeared and said,
Morning, girls. I hope you're all well rested.
She sat down, then continued.
Now to the main point. I'm rather curious and was wondering where you first met Thomas.
Easy. It was here on this island when I was 10 years old. I was collecting shells on the beach when I met him.
Busted. I was only 7 years old then, imposter. Gee, a careless move over there, Conda. Thomas clearly specified in an interview that he'd been 8 years old and the girl who saved him was a year younger. Yes, I met Thomas when I was 7 years old. At that time, my father was a helmsman. I often followed him here, and once I spotted Thomas sitting alone on the beach. Feeling bored waiting for my dad, I came to say hi and hang out with them the whole day. That afternoon, Thomas got a cramp while swimming, and he would have drowned if it wasn't for me. I saved him, then my father and I took him to the hospital. Mrs. Danvish just listened silently, and when all three of us had finished answering, she said,
Indeed, the girl in question was 7 at the time. So, Conda.
No, I just misremembered. See, I was only 7 at the time. I could easily get confused.
Mrs. Danvish didn't say anything more after this, but I saw this knowing look in her eyes. Then, that night at dinner, there were only 2 places at the table set, and Conda never made an appearance. Seems like things are getting serious. The next morning, I was making the most of my time here by lounging around on the beach, reading my favorite book, when someone blocked out the sun. I looked up to see Sarai smirking down at me. Enjoy yourself while you can, as you'll be the next to leave. As if! You may have memorized all the information from the newspapers, but that's not going to be enough to fool Thomas. You. I saw the fury in Sarai's eyes as she raised her hand to slap me. But, huh? Someone stopped her. Standing in front of me was a tall, handsome guy. Wow, who is he?
Miss, violence is not the answer.
Who are you to lecture me?
Actually, I'm Eli, Thomas's assistant.
Sarai tutted under her breath and then strutted off.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. I just don't know how someone has the nerve to lie like that. We continued talking as we strolled along the beach. Eli mentioned how I was exactly as Thomas had described me. Seeing as Eli seemed to be on my side, I took the chance to ask him more about Thomas, such as what his favorite foods, colors, and movies were. Yesterday I spoke to Thomas's housekeeper, Mrs. Danvish. She seems to know a lot about him, doesn't she?
That's right. She was Thomas's nanny. Due to their busy schedules, Thomas's parents were often busy, so most of the time Mrs. Danvish was the one taking care of him. He's very fond of her.
Then Eli showed me a picture of Mrs. Danvish hugging a smiley, young-looking Thomas. Oh, so he had blonde hair when he was little? I was so lost in thought, I didn't notice a rock and tripped over it. Eli immediately reached out to steady me. Then he asked if I was okay. Oh my God, what happened to me? Why is my heart thudding like crazy? That night, Sarai and I were sitting in the dining room having a stare-off as we waited for dinner, when suddenly a man walked in holding 2 bouquets of sunflowers. Thomas! Oh wow, he looks even more handsome in real life. My best friend Dara should have been here to see this. I told her to come here, but she wouldn't listen to me. Before I had time to greet Thomas, Sarai rushed over and hugged him. Then she pretended to get all emotional. Finally, we're reunited. Not a day has passed when I haven't thought of you. Thomas awkwardly pushed her away, then scratched his head.
Let's have dinner first and then talk about this later.
The food looked delicious as always, but I had a job to do. Only, whenever I tried to say something to Thomas, that awful Sarai interrupted me. Since our first meeting, the image of a cute brown-haired boy has been imprinted on my heart. I noticed Thomas pause and exchange a knowing look with Eli. You mean blonde, right? She thinks you had brown hair because she's never seen you when you were a kid, and that just proves she's a fraud. Thomas looked at me, stunned, then turned to Sarai in disappointment as she blurted out, It's not like that. Please hear me out. Without letting Sarai finish her sentence, Thomas sternly said,
You know, I can totally sue you for impersonation and fraud. If you don't want to get in trouble, get out of here at once.
Sarai looked like she was about to cry as she stuttered helplessly, then quickly got up and left. Thomas then grabbed my hand, smiled, and said,
Finally, I found you.
So he's weeded out the frauds. But why do I feel so guilty when I see his cheerful face? And what about Eli? Why do I find myself wishing it wasn't Thomas holding my hand right now? The next morning, I took Thomas to my hometown and showed him around. We were walking along the shore of the Crabby River when I saw Dara waiting. There she is. I invited her to join us. This is Dara, my best friend. Dara, this is Thomas, the guy I was talking to you about. Right then, my phone started ringing. Excuse me, I've got to take this. Go ahead, guys. I'll be right back. I quickly left, but did not forget to wink at Dara and whisper to her, I did my best. Now it's your turn. I took a stroll around the area and came back to see Thomas sitting alone, looking off into the distance. Where did Dara go? Seeing me, he stood up and said,
Dora had something to do, so she left early. We should leave too.
On our way back home, I couldn't help but ask Thomas, So, Dara told you everything, right?
What do you mean? Oh, well, she did tell me about some interesting spots in the town.
Oh man, that means Thomas still has no clue? Silly Dara. I put so much effort into bringing him here.
Oh, hey, Achara. This suddenly came to my mind. When you took me to the hospital back then, do you remember what flower you gave me?
Flowers. He got me sunflowers last time, so it must be... Of course I remember. I gave you a sunflower. I wanted to cheer you up. I was expecting a nod from Thomas, but to my surprise, he sighed and said,
Actually, I just made that up. There were no flowers at all.
Thomas's words got me wavered. I didn't want to end up in a position like this. Fine. If Dara chickened out of telling him the truth herself, then I guess I just have to do it. Thomas, I'm sorry. Actually... And so I told Thomas the truth. The one who saved Thomas that day was Dara, not me. And she's in a pretty tough situation right now. Ever since her dad's accident that left him unable to take his boat out anymore, Dara's family were in terrible debt. So, when I saw the article where Thomas was searching for his savior, I tried to convince Dara to come forward, as he might be able to help out her family. But I can't do that. I can't let him see me in this awful state. He would presume I was only after his money. No matter how much I tried to convince her, Dara still refused to go and meet Thomas. And so I decided to disguise myself as Dara and approach you first. Then I planned to reunite you here.
And she agreed to all that?
No, she didn't. I carried things out all alone. I kept asking Dara for more information about the past and then spent all my savings on hair appointments and makeup to fake a mole like hers. Then I lied to my parents that I was participating in a summer camp and went to Koh Lanta. I also arranged to meet her here today, but I guess she's still not ready to talk to you.
Actually, when I saw Dora, I felt this strange connection toward her, but seeing the way she left like that, maybe she doesn't want to see me again.
Oh no, what had I done? I want to bring them together, not drive them apart. Are things really just going to end up like this? It's been 3 days since then, and now here I am, nervously waiting for Dara in the airport lobby. I'd asked her to meet me here, but this doesn't look good. Does she really not even bother to say goodbye to me before I leave the country?
Achara, seems like Dara isn't coming. I'm sorry, but we have to go.
I gave a solemn sigh and pulled my suitcase when suddenly I heard someone call,
Wait up! Achara!
I turned around and saw Dara running towards me. Oh boy, what a relief! I quickly hid away my smile and put on a sulky expression. Oh, you're here? Thought you wouldn't come. Anyway, my boyfriend and I are off to London to meet his family. They're really eager to meet his savior, right, babe? Thank you for coming to send me off. Dara gave an awkward look. Then she took my hand and led me over so she could whisper, Achara, can I talk to Thomas in private for a minute? Yes, my plan worked. I turned to Eli and gave a thumbs up. Then we rushed off and left Dara and Thomas to talk alone. Did you really think I would let those two idiots give up on each other so easily? No way. I had discussed it with Thomas and planned to fake a cheesy farewell at the airport, and voila! Dara finally realized her feelings for Thomas in this hit-or-miss moment, and the two of them had a happy reunion. Yay! So, what about me, huh? Well, you don't have to worry, because I might have scored this cute, handsome assistant right here.
Nina, why are you just my cousin and not my mommy? Claudia peered up at me with curious eyes. I knew where this had come from, as the topic of the week at kindergarten was family. Claudia's innocent words made me squirm with guilt. Was I a bad person? I'd been asking myself this daily for the last 4 years. Yep, the little girl next to me wasn't my daughter. I stole her from her real dad and have been raising her single-handedly ever since. It all started with my Uncle Oliver, who is a successful businessman and a super loving person. I owe a lot to him and to my grandma, as they're the ones who raised me after my parents died in a car crash when I was just a little girl. My uncle had been doing a great job filling up the missing father figure in my life. But he also wanted a biological child of his own, which was quite a tricky problem to an asexual man like him. One evening, I just got in from hanging out with my friends when I saw him sitting at the kitchen table, his head in his hands. I asked, "Uncle, what's up?" He looked at me with swollen red eyes, sighed, then said, "Nina, it's silly, really. It's just my birthday is next month, and I don't have the one thing I want the most in the world." I pulled him into a hug and comforted him. I knew he's still longing for a kid, and I wanted to help him. So, together, we looked into the surrogacy process. My uncle was so excited, and he did all the paperwork to buy a donor egg. Now, all he needed was a surrogate mother. So he went through his local surrogacy agency, and they presented him with 5 potential surrogate profiles. I swear he must have reread each of them about 100 times. But he eventually chose one, a woman called Kathy. On paper, Kathy sounded perfect. She was a 31-year-old who already had a healthy little boy called Robbie. A contract was drawn up. All Kathy's medical care would be paid for, and she'd also receive a pretty large sum of money. Then, when the baby was 1 week old, my uncle would raise them alone. This all sounds perfect, huh? Well, it soon took a turn for the worst. Once Kathy fell pregnant, Uncle Oliver wanted to be around her more so he could bond with the baby. One time I walked into the lounge to classical music playing, and my uncle pressing his head to Kathy's belly to see if the baby could hear the music. Soon coming home to find Kathy there became the norm for me. At first I didn't mind, as she was always really sweet to me, and we even had small talks from time to time. But then, one morning when I was heading downstairs to go to work, I spotted her standing in the yard helping my grandma water the flowers. I was about to walk over to greet them, then I heard her say, "Oliver is such a lovely man, but he's so busy. I worry he'll find it all a bit too much juggling a newborn and work." Then Grandma said, "Don't worry, sweetie, as he'll have Nina and me around to help." But Nina is so young, and she has her own life to lead. She's always out at a party or with some boy, and you can't be expected to take care for a baby, not at your age. I just don't want a stranger caring for my baby, not when I could help out.
What?
Her sweet as sugar behavior was all an act, wasn't it? How dare she try and manipulate my lovely grandma? A few days later, I went down to dinner to see Kathy sitting there. She smiled at me and asked me about my day. I wasn't buying her overly nice act, but I went along with it anyway. At one point, she suddenly took her phone out, then her smile turned into a frown. "Oh, no. Robbie has a fever. I better go to him." She immediately pulled back her chair and stood up. "You know how it is. Only a mother's love can make a little one feel better." Then she left. Kathy's poisonous words had definitely got to Grandma, as she showed concern for Robbie and let out a gentle smile as her eyes followed Kathy's steps. And that was only the beginning. Kathy's game playing continued as a few days later, she showed up on our doorstep in tears. Then she came out with some story about how the venue for Robbie's birthday party had canceled and they refused to refund her. Like clockwork, my uncle told her she could have the party at ours and that he'd cover the costs. On the day of the party, I saw Kathy pass my uncle all of the receipts for the bouncy castle, magician, catering, etc. She gently pat her tummy and grinned. "You'll be such a wonderful father. You know, we could always have another one after this. For free, of course." Then, later on, I saw her whispering something to Robbie. Then the next minute, he ran over to my uncle. He hugged his legs and said, "Thank you for the party, Daddy." Then Kathy hurried over to him, ruffled his hair, and said, "Oh, honey, he's not your daddy, But it'd be nice, wouldn't it, to all live here together with the baby? Enough was enough, so that night I confronted my uncle and grandma about it. I don't have a good feeling about Kathy. I think she's trying to break the contract. My uncle sighed, then said, I know. Then grandma added, Kathy's right, though. Oliver can't do this alone. You're too young and I'm too old. So it makes sense for Kathy to stick around and help. Still better than having some random stranger around, right? I can help out, I raised my voice. Rather me than her. I don't trust her. Grandma shook her head. But she's the mother. She's carrying the baby. Their bond is undeniable. I know what it's like to lose people I love. Kathy will break this baby's heart. I'm sure of it. She's only out for herself. My face turned red as I raised my voice. My uncle remained silent. Then he just sighed and walked out of the room. I ran after him and pulled him back. Uncle, you made your choice right from the beginning. Why change it now? He replied with his eyes glued to the ground. Your grandma has a point. What? My voice was up to high pitch. Stop letting that witch Kathy manipulate you. He shook his head, then walked away. Oh my God. They were being controlled like puppets. This needed to stop. So I decided to confront Kathy about it. My chance arrived the next day. She was helping to cook dinner, so I said to her, I know what you're up to. You just want an easy life without any money worries. That's why you're manipulating them. But you can't fool me. She stopped chopping the carrots, then looked at me. Is that so? The thing is, Nina, I always get what I want. She gave me an evil smirk. Then she slammed the knife into the carrot with such ferocity that I flinched. It was official. Kathy was crazy, but I didn't have any proof. So basically, there was absolutely nothing I could do about it. As expected, the craziness continued into the next day. I went to Grandma's room and saw her looking flustered as she searched through her bedside drawer. I, again, couldn't find my pills, and that they kept on showing up in strange places. She seemed really worried that she was losing her mind. Later on, when we were all eating dinner, Kathy went to the fridge, and surprise, surprise, guess what she found there? Yep, Grandma's pills. Obviously, Kathy had put them there. Then she walked over to Grandma, rubbed her shoulder, concernedly said, I should have taken care of you more. We should have you checked by the doctor as soon as possible. Age can be so cruel on the mind, and you don't want to be forgettable around the baby. After that, Grandma seemed totally convinced that she was too old to take care for a baby, even after the doctor told her she was fine. Furthermore, she was adamant that Kathy should move in to help out. Ugh, what a snake Kathy was. A month later, the baby was born. A girl. My uncle named her Claudia, after my mom. We all cried happy tears and welcomed her into our family. Kathy got her wish, and both her and Robbie moved into our house. One morning, I came downstairs to see Kathy holding the baby. In front of her was the ripped-up contract. I told her to leave, and she smirked and said, You're a smart girl, Nina, but you're no match for me. I'm not going anywhere. This is my home now, so get used to it. I knew there was no point telling my uncle and grandma about this. I couldn't let this woman destroy my family. She was dangerous. She could end up hurting everyone. She'd never stop until she got what she wanted, and there's no way I could let that happen. So, when Kathy was in the bathroom, I picked Claudia up, and before I could stop myself, I was fleeing from the house and out of their lives. I moved to a new town and got a new job. It was only meant to be temporary, but I guess I was too selfish and afraid to go back. I'd always been truthful with Claudia about one thing, that I was her cousin, not her mom. So, when Claudia said the words, Nina, why are you just my cousin and not my mommy? I felt so guilty. She was missing out on a relationship with her father because of me. Yes, I'd wanted my family to get out of Kathy's trap, but what I did wasn't fair to my uncle. I knew that now. I had no right taking his daughter away from him for 4 years. I felt so awful. Thinking about the distress I must have caused him and Grandma, The guilt was eating me up, and I knew I couldn't carry on like this anymore. So I called up an old family friend and asked him to approach my uncle. Later that day, my friend got back to me with a message from him. "Kathy's gone, and she won't be coming back. You were right about her. Of course. She was only after my money. After you left, she didn't seem to care about Claudia at all, and she threatened to go to the cops and report you unless I paid her off. Please, just come back to me and Grandma. We sure aren't happy with what you did, but we know you had good intentions. We love you, and we just want our girls back home." Tears streamed down my face. They'd found it in their hearts to forgive me. Running away had never been the answer, even if I'd done it with good intentions. It was time to stop running. It was time to go home. So I peered down at the little girl who reminded me so much of my uncle. "Claudia?" I took her hand. "Are you ready to go home to Daddy?"
Wow! This place was like a life-size dollhouse. It was huge and whoa! Was that a whirlpool bath? I was in heaven.
Slow down, dear.
OMG! You even have an indoor badminton court? I love badminton! This was the most amazing house ever! Hey, I'm Helen, and I grew up in a normal house with a normal family. I love my parents, and life was great and all, but the one downside was the long journey to my new high school. My mom, Grace, said she had the answer to this and suggested I go and stay with my Aunt Lucy, as she lived closer to the school. Okay, so I'd never met Lucy before. Actually, until Mom mentioned her, I didn't even know I had an aunt. Mom explained that Aunt Lucy moved to Canada for business and had only returned to the US recently. This was the first time I had to live so far away from my parents, so I was kind of worried I'd get homesick. But one advantage was my bestie, Madeline, lived right nearby. Awesome, right? Besides, this place was dope. I couldn't stop gawking at that badminton court. Seriously, it was bigger than my house. Aunt Lucy, I guess you must really like badminton. Yes, many people think it's just a backyard game, but it's a true sport to me. Wow, it was a rarity to meet someone with the same tastes as me. We chatted for ages about our interests. Lucy was so easy to talk to, and I honestly felt like I'd known her for years. I would love to become a pro badminton player, but Mom thinks I should keep it as a hobby and find a more stable career. I see, but don't let others discourage you. The true passion is worth pursuing. Let me arrange a training schedule for you. Now, try this. Oh, how do you know I like lobster linguine? At first, living with Lucy was like being in a dream world. She pampered me, bought me clothes I wanted, and cooked the most delicious dishes. But beneath the shine, there was also a darker side. Lucy was super strict. I mean, major general level strict. I had to wake up at 5 a.m. each morning for training, run laps of it for an hour, and hit 50 shuttlecocks over the net in a row. If I missed one, I had to start over again. Meanwhile, I still had to keep up with my homework, and I couldn't go and meet my friends on the weekend or do anything without asking Lucy for permission first. At least at school, I could vent to Maddie about it. I expected her to agree with me, but she shrugged and said, "I guess your aunt just wants the best for you. Besides, your badminton skills have improved loads. If I could live in a luxurious house, eat delicious food with such a caring aunt, I'd so put up with a grueling training schedule." Yeah, I guess she's right. Maybe I should be more grateful. Of course, on finding out about the school badminton club, I immediately signed up for it. I was walking over to the court, swinging my racket about and ready to show off my skills, when these two guys approached me. "Go back to the cheerleading team where you belong, sweetie. Leave the court for the real pros." How dare these idiots judge me like this? They hadn't even seen me play. Oh yeah? I challenge you to a game. Then we'll see who's serious. "We're the best players in the school, just so you know. Pick one." Suddenly, another guy appeared next to me and said, "Then let's play doubles." Oh my god, he's Tyler, the best badminton player in the whole school. I've heard all about his reputation and seen photos of him with a trophy in the school newsletter, but I've never met him before. Surprisingly, he's even cuter in person. Pfft, you can defeat us in singles, but can you cover that useless girl in a duo match? That's it. Scoot over. Let me show you what this useless girl can do. The game started, and instantly, Tyler and I vibed on the court and were hitting the shuttlecocks at lightning speed. We won in straight sets, and those losers looked so bummed out. Tyler seemed super impressed. And then, good game, Helen. Do you want to hang out again? How about tomorrow? We could go get some food. Mamma mia! How can I say no to that? But when I told Aunt Lucy, she didn't take it so well.
Love may seem appealing, but it's a waste of time and energy that will lead to a decline in your badminton abilities, your grades, your mood, everything. You're too immature to deal with those type of emotions right now.
This was ridiculous. I wasn't a little kid. I was perfectly capable of making my own decisions and following my own feelings. He's a sweet guy who helped me out.
Of course he did. All guys appear nice at first.
Maybe if you just gave him a chance.
Wake up, Helen, and stop yourself from throwing away your dreams for some boy.
Ugh, it was no use. My aunt was too stubborn to listen. I stormed up to my room, feeling frustrated. No way was I letting my aunt's strictness ruin things with my dream guy. So I decided to sneak out to meet Tyler. But how? I know exactly the person who can help. Matt's red code. Aunt Lucy won't let me see Tyler. Please help me distract her. Okay, but only if you get me a signed copy of the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Easy peasy. After that day, I was able to go on multiple dates with Tyler, all thanks to Maddie's help. She always came up with the most convincing excuses, like I was going to her house for group study or we were going to a super important event. Then one time when I was supposed to study at home, it was actually Maddie pretending to be me. Later, I sneaked back into my room, all giddy. You wouldn't believe how great our date was today. But Maddie just gave this awkward look. What's up? Did my aunt suspect something? No, everything's fine. Then she immediately climbed out of the window. Strange. But the next day she acted like nothing had happened, so I let it slide. She must have just felt unwell or something. Meanwhile, things with Tyler were getting better and better. After a romantic date, we walked home, and suddenly Tyler stopped me, looking all shy and nervous.
Helen, I really like you, and I like spending time with you. Be my girlfriend, will you?
OMG! This was the best thing that had ever happened to me! I flung my arms around him and yelled out of my lungs, "Yes!" When I finally let go of him, out of nowhere, a kid on roller skates bumped into me and sent me tumbling into the road. A car zoomed toward me, and before I could process anything, Tyler sprinted forward and pushed me away. When I opened my eyes, he was lying there unconscious. I panically called an ambulance and went with him to the hospital. As I sat in the waiting room with floods of tears, I was so scared and didn't know what to do that I ended up calling Aunt Lucy. Only a few minutes later, I saw her hurrying toward me, looking dead serious.
Helen, what have I told you? You lied to me to hang out with a boy?
I had no heart to argue about that and immediately burst into a fresh bout of tears. It's my fault. Tyler risked his life to save me, and now he's hurt. Aunt Lucy's demeanor softened and she pulled me in closer. After a while of consoling me, she finally opened up and shared a story I didn't expect.
Actually, I fell in love when I was around your age, but he betrayed me. I just don't want you to be hurt like that.
Oh, that's terrible. But Tyler is a good guy. I just know he is. He saved me.
And for that, I'm truly grateful. Okay, I'll trust your judgment and give you my blessing to get to know him further.
Thank you. Right then, the doctor appeared and told us that Tyler was all right and he would make a full recovery in a few days. Thank goodness. When Tyler was back, Aunt Lucy stuck to her word and gave me and him a chance together. She even offered to give both of us a badminton lesson. Brace yourself for the craziest training routine ever. But practicing with Tyler made it actually bearable and a lot more fun. I had a big competition coming up, which could get me the professional player title and a chance to join the national team if I won. So I needed all the training I could get. Just one more step away from my greatest dream. Also, I couldn't contain my smile when seeing Lucy gradually warmed up to Tyler. My big day finally came. Mom and Dad were here to support me as well. I excitedly got ready, but when I opened the kit bag, what happened? Oh no! Who's destroyed our babies? I think Lucy might have done it. Why on earth would she do that? I overheard her saying that she was only pretending to like Tyler so she could keep an eye on you both. What? I honestly believed that Aunt Lucy was actually giving Tyler a chance. But it still didn't make any sense. Even if Lucy hated Tyler, why would she try to ruin this competition? She knew how much it meant to me. There's one more thing, but I don't think you're ready to hear it. Gosh, just spill the beans, Maddie. Actually, the day I disguised as you, I found something out. Lucy's not your aunt. She's your mom. She wants to take you back to Canada with her and She knows if you won this contest, then you'd never want to leave. I stood there in complete shock. So, my beloved family I'd known all these years wasn't actually mine? And Lucy, how come she had the brazenness to show up now as my real mother and wanted to take me back? I felt like my whole life had been one big lie and immediately rushed to find Lucy. Is it true? You're my real mom? How did you know? I can't believe you did that to me! You're selfish, terrible, and ruined everything! Go away! I don't want to see you anymore! I don't have a mom like you! Grace is my one and only mother! Lucy looked completely broken, then quietly left. I was shaking in anger and pain when a gentle hand laid on my shoulder. Helen, sweetie, I know it's hard to take it in. Trust me, this was difficult for us all. You all lied to me! How could you just agree to send me off to her? You never consider me as your real daughter, do you? Don't think silly, honey. We love you so much and never want to let you go. Unless it's better for you. Then Mom told me how Lucy came and persuaded her. Turned out, Lucy had a very tragic past. Since childhood, she'd always been the black sheep in her family. They treated her poorly and despised her badminton passion. Then when she told them she was pregnant, they threw her out. And her boyfriend also ditched her right after that. So she had no choice but to leave me at the orphanage and begin a new life in Canada. After countless hardships, she finally became successful. And all she desired was to reconnect with me. I believe everyone deserves a second chance. That's why I let you two live together for a while. Only if you're happy, I would tell you the truth, so you wouldn't be too shocked. Besides, she can help you more than me now. Hey, you even inherited her badminton spirit. I was stunned for a while. It's true that Lucy left me, but that's because she didn't want me to suffer with her. And I indeed had a happy life. I shouldn't be so rude to her. But it was still a lot to digest, so I went home with Mom. I shut myself away until the next day. Tyler came and tried to convince my gloomy self to go for a walk. I know that's a lot, but I think you should make up with Lucy. Why are you still on her side? She only pretended to be nice to you, and she ruined the contest just to take me away from this perfect life. We can find our chance in plenty of other competitions, but there's only one Lucy. She's your biological mother, and it's fine to be mad with her, but you should never reject her. My mind wandered back to all the happy moments I'd had with Lucy, our interesting chat, the delicious meals she cooked, and the times we played badminton together. She even had a special room to store badminton equipment, especially the rackets. Wait, Lucy treasured badminton rackets. If she simply wanted to stop us from competing in the contest, then she could have just hidden our rackets or pretended that the car broke down. But she would never destroy the rackets like that. Ty, do you remember who else handled our rackets that day? I'm not sure. I think Madeline had them at some point. So, could it be Maddie? But why? She had no reason to do that. She was my best friend and always supported me to play badminton. I stormed over to Maddie's house, but she's arguing with her dad on the doorstep.
You useless, pathetic rascal! Go then. I don't care.
Maddie ran off in tears, and I followed her to an alley. Seeing her like that made some of my anger toward her fade. Hey, what's going on? Maddie seemed surprised to see me. She tried to dodge some of my questions at first, but seeing nowhere to hide, she finally confessed. My mom left me to that alcoholic dad who does nothing but shout at me all day. You have two moms who love you, and I don't even have one. I was angry at Lucy because, to me, all of the moms who gave up their child are heartless and deserve no forgiveness. She even wanted to take you to Canada. I couldn't lose you too. The fear and jealousy got the better of me, so I broke your rackets, then blamed Lucy. I'm so sorry. This sounds tough, but you still shouldn't have done it. I'm always here to listen to you, and I'm not moving anywhere. You're stuck with me. When Maddie felt better, I took her to my home and intended to find Lucy to apologize for everything. But Mom said Lucy had decided to go back to Canada and was on her way to the airport. I immediately hailed a cab to the airport, then ran through departures, desperately trying to find Lucy. I was starting to think I was too late, when suddenly I spotted her about to walk through towards security. Lucy! Mom, please don't go! I thought you don't want me. No, I was just confused and angry, and I'm sorry that I hurt you. We finally sorted things out and agreed to give each other a chance to start over. So, what happened next? Well, Lucy decided to expand her business to the US so she could stay here with me. My wonderful adoptive parents took Maddie in after helping her get away from her toxic father. So now I have 2 amazing moms, an awesome sister, and, yes, you know it, a super cute, thoughtful boyfriend.
Ugh, look at them flirting. What an eyesore. But don't get it wrong. Trust me, this is no happy family. That woman there isn't my mom. She's Rochelle, our housemaid. I repeat, housemaid. But it looks like she has her sights set on becoming my stepmom. Ugh. We only hired her because after my mom passed away, Dad and I struggled to deal with our grief, and our clumsiness as well, so tidying the house didn't take priority. I suppose Rochelle was an okay maid. Can't deny that she's a good cleaner, and her cooking is tasty. However, recently, I've noticed that she always cooks Dad's favorite meals. Also, they laugh and flirt and constantly give each other these gooey-eyed looks. Yuck! Today, she even took out her handkerchief and attentively wiped my dad's sweaty forehead. Who does she think she is? She definitely wanted to hypnotize Dad. If she thought she'd have a slot in this house, she was totally wrong. I needed to do something about this. I had to talk to Dad right away. Dad, Mom didn't pass away that long ago, but it looks like you've already lined up her replacement. Didn't you hurt Mom enough by reconnecting with your ex right before she died?
What do you mean replacement? Brittany, you're being childish and unreasonable.
I don't know, and I don't care. But I want Rochelle to get out of our house immediately. She's for sure trying to get something out of you.
Okay, fine. If you insist. But make sure you find a new housemaid to replace her.
Ugh. So it turns out that finding a new maid who's actually good is nearly impossible. Dozens of people came to try out, but none of them were as considerate as Rochelle. Okay, after all, we still needed a maid, so I reluctantly let Rochelle stay until I found someone new. This didn't mean I was going to let my annoyance for her slide. I decided that while I was stuck in the same house as her, I may as well play some tricks on her to let out my anger. When she decided to cook, again, the divine chicken soup that my dad loved so much, I kindly added a little salt to make it more savory. But somehow, my dad still praised her delicious food. He must just be flattering her, right? So I tried it for myself. What? How could she do that? It tasted amazing. Ugh. Another time, I copied this trick I saw on TikTok by sticking layers of food wrap on Rochelle's door, then acting like there was an emergency. Quick! The oven is making weird noises. I think something's burning. Rochelle quickly ran out of the room and I couldn't help but laugh my head off. Her face was really funny. She then gave me this bewildered look and smiled helplessly. Ugh. Why did this woman never get mad? Okay then, let's step it up a notch. I decided to play the ultimate trick. Knowing that Rochelle was scared to death of cockroaches, I cut a cockroach shape out of paper and put it behind the fabric of her nightlight. That night, I was dozing off when I heard a screechy scream. Ah! Coming from Rochelle's room. Aha! Success! But she was so terrified that she fainted. Oops! Do you know what the most annoying thing is? Even after all the trouble I've caused her, Rochelle was still super sweet to me. She was always offering me cookies and asking me about my day and stuff. I felt like she was trying to play the role of a mother, and I didn't like that at all. She couldn't fool me. I knew she only put up with me to please my dad. Thanks to Rochelle, I could never be at ease, even in my own home. But recently, a very special person has come into my life and lit up my mood. It was totally by chance. That day, it had rained like crazy, so there were puddles everywhere. I was on my way home from the grocery store when a car drove whizzing by. I thought I was going to get a free bath, but then suddenly, an arm pulled me back and shielded me with his body. Just like in a romantic movie, standing there was a boy, soaking wet, asking if I was okay. Aww, he had totally swept me off my feet. We walked together for a while, and he told me his name's Chris, and he lives in the next neighborhood. That's it! I needed to find a way to impress Chris and also thank him for helping me. So, after some careful thinking, I decided to bake him a cake. I'd seen Rochelle bake before. It looked easy peasy. So I baked one and gave some to my best friend Sue to try. But she spat it out and said, "Ew, gross." I sadly sat in the kitchen, staring at my pathetic cake, and wondered where I'd done wrong. That's when Rochelle stepped into the room. But to my surprise, instead of laughing at me, she patted me on the shoulder.
Come here. I'll teach you how to cook.
Rochelle was a good cook, so I'd be stupid not to learn from her. This doesn't mean I like her, though. I just want to win my crush's heart. So after that, each day after school, Rochelle gave me a cooking lesson. Okay, so maybe she wasn't as bad as I first thought. We tried out different recipes together and came up with our own perfect formula. And finally, I could bake a lovely heart-shaped chocolate cake by myself to confess my love to Chris. And you know what? He said yes. I was so deeply in love with Chris that I totally forgot about my conflict with Rochelle. Chris often came over to my place. My dad and Rochelle loved him. So now, besides my dad's favorite food, Rochelle also makes Chris's favorites too. She's incredible. She could remember everything Chris loves and hates, even the trivia, like he's allergic to peanuts. We were just like a family, and I have to admit, it felt kinda good. And then, out of literally nowhere, the shock of my life happened. My dad passed away from cancer. I didn't even know he was ill. As you might guess, I totally broke down and didn't want to do anything after that. My mom and dad had both left me, just within a single year. But at least I still had Rochelle and Chris beside me. Rochelle took care of me like I was her actual daughter. I was going through such a tough time in life, but having them around made me feel like I wasn't completely alone. The grief had to fade away eventually, and it's gonna be okay from now on, I thought. Until one day, I was baking cupcakes when my dad's lawyer appeared and showed me the will. Turns out, my dad had left the house to me, but only on the condition that I had a guardian, some woman named Laura. Huh? That's odd. I don't know anyone named Laura, but wait, I think I've heard this name from someone. Oh, my mom. When she was in her last days, Mom once told me that my dad had been talking to his ex again, and her name was Laura. Could it be her? Did he seriously make his ex my guardian? Unbelievable! I had to get to the bottom of this. But how could I find this mystery Laura? I had no family. Well, besides my Uncle Colin, who was living in France. So I contacted him and told him everything. He flew back at once, and although I hadn't seen him in years, I couldn't hold back my emotions and ended up sobbing on his shoulder. And then he told me the horrible truth. Laura is none other than the woman who had just walked through the door. It was Rochelle, the woman who had been living in my house. I couldn't believe my ears. What on earth is going on? So Rochelle moving in was no coincidence? My dad sneakily snuck her in as a maid so they could be together? My pain and disappointment were overwhelming, but I had to calm down so I could think rationally. I knew I needed to be smart and outplay Rochelle at her own game. Since then, I started watching Rochelle and noticed something strange. Rochelle and Chris were a bit too close and intimate. I often saw them whispering to each other when they thought I wasn't looking. What did this mean? Could it be that Rochelle was trying to coax my boyfriend into one of her dark schemes? Or, worse still, was the guy I loved cheating on me with an older woman? My suspicions deepened. When a few days later, Chris told me he was sick, so I had to take the school bus for a couple of days. And Rochelle also asked me for a few days off. Could it just be coincidence? I didn't think so. So I decided to be a detective for once. Right after Rochelle left, I started following her. And with no surprise, she went to my boyfriend's house.
Hi, Mom!
Excuse me? Mom? She's his mom? So that means she not only flirted with my father, but also planted her son to distract me to take over my family's property? I trusted them. How could they be so cruel? Suddenly, I remembered a detail that I didn't notice until now. After eating the food she'd cooked, for some reason, my father became weaker and weaker and eventually passed away. Did she poison him? If that's the case, then she really is a poisonous snake in human disguise. I immediately broke up with Chris and fired Rochelle, then went home and told Uncle Colin everything. At least I had him on my side.
Now what we need to do is refute her custody of the property. I'll take care of everything, and you just have to do what I say.
Then, Uncle Colin helped me prepare a lawsuit against Rochelle and her son for fraud. Those two will pay the price for what they did to my father and me. Oh, but the thing is, now Rochelle didn't live here. It felt so empty. I was so angry with her, but I also found myself missing her too. I loved and trusted her. And Chris too. And feelings like that don't just vanish overnight, but when I was still thinking about it, there was the lawyer. Again! And he was accompanied by Uncle Colin. What's happening now?
Miss Brittany Jensen hereby transfers the entire estate of 25 Oakwell House to Mr. Colin Jensen, as signed by both parties.
Huh? Signed? When did I sign that? I snatched the paper and shouted, "Scam! I never saw this paper! Uncle, what is this? Please say something."
I don't know. Just follow the legal documents.
No, 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 no! So Uncle Colin was just pretending to care, when really he just wanted to trick me into signing over my house? Oh God. Thinking about it, it must have been that day. The day where he gave me a bunch of papers to sign, claiming that they were about me suing Rochelle and Chris. OMG, the lying con! At the time, I'd been so upset that I only skimmed the first page without looking at the following ones. I was too careless.
From tomorrow, Miss Brittany Jensen will have to return all assets to Mr. Colin Jensen. You have 24 hours to prepare.
I tried shouting at my uncle, and then I tried reasoning with him, but he didn't care. He just smirked at me and told me that he was just taking what was rightfully his. Ugh, what a vile man. So now, I have nothing left. I was kicked out of my own house and deceived by my own uncle. I don't know why I accidentally passed Chris's house just as he opened the door to take a delivery, and our eyes met. I turned and started to run away, but Chris caught up with me and grabbed my hand. Even after the awful way I treated them both, Rochelle and Chris still invited me inside and made me dinner. I ashamedly told them what happened. Then Rochelle told me everything. It turns out that my father found out that he had cancer a while ago, but he didn't tell me because he saw how upset I was after losing Mom, and he was afraid I would worry too much. Rochelle saw his health deteriorating and figured out what was wrong, so she volunteered to take care of him because she still cared for him. But as a friend, nothing more. As for the will, my dad understood Uncle Colin all too well and didn't trust him, so he gave custody to Rochelle. But unexpectedly, in the end, I still stupidly fell into his trap.
As for Chris, I really didn't know you two knew each other until you brought him home. But at that time, I didn't want to confess I was his mother and affect your relationship. I'm sorry, Brittany.
Britt, please stay here with me and Mom. We'll get through this tough time together, okay?
That's right, darling. No matter what, we'll never abandon you.
I'm sorry. I misunderstood you both.
It's okay. Everything will be fine from now on. You'll never have to do this alone.
Yeah, every dog has its day. This is totally not wrong. My life is nothing like my previous wealthy one, but I have something that my conniving, vulturous uncle doesn't have, and that's people who love and care about me. What my uncle did was wrong, and Rochelle and Chris are helping me to make a legal case against him. As for now, well, I still haven't given up on my passion for cooking and still practice with my master every day. And you know what? I just won first prize at the city cooking competition. Right, I better go, as I have a big treat planned for
Just one step into the hallway, and I could already hear all kinds of whispers going all around. What happened? Did you forget, Sandra? It's Monday. Oh, not again. Who's the unlucky victim this week? Dorothy! It's Dorothy! Look what embarrassing deed she's done. So, it was a photo of the resident mean girl, Dorothy, on a date with some old rich guy. Ben and I had zero interest in those kinds of things, but these kids, on the other hand... Hey, there she is! This was the third Monday in a row that our school had turned into this gossiping chaos zone. Why, you ask? 3 weeks ago, out of nowhere, a bunch of random QR codes appeared stuck to some of the lockers. Curious, we scanned them and got access to this mysterious blog by someone called Quiet Night. They said they wanted to expose the true face of this prestigious school. So, every Monday at 2 a.m., they would reveal someone's dirty secret. And the first secret belonged to the beloved basketball team captain, Lewis. Turns out he flunked the last match on purpose so the rival school that his secret girlfriend attended would win. At first, everyone doubted it, but then someone found the girlfriend's Twitter where she posted a celebration photo. So, there you go. Everything became clear as day. Lewis immediately lost his captain title and the entire school cancelled him. While everyone was still buzzing with that, already came the next Monday secret. It was Mr. Worthing, our popular math teacher. His classes were known for their top performances. But as it turned out, he had always accidentally leaked the questions to his students before every exam. The rumor reached the principal, and he immediately had people look into it. Unfortunately, it was true, so Mr. Worthing was fired. And as you've heard, little Miss Dorothy was the third unfortunate victim. To be honest, she definitely hadn't been the nicest girl. She's a nightmare to all the new kids especially. So when her shameful secret was revealed, everyone seemed to be somewhat satisfied and talked about it nonstop. My BFF, Mary, was no exception, as Dorothy was a rival for her queen bee status. At lunchtime, we arrived at the cafeteria, but weirdly, nobody lined up to get lunch. They were all looking around at something. Turns out Dorothy was here too. She's sitting alone at a table. Not wanting to miss an opportunity to taunt her longtime rival, Mary rushed straight over there. What's wrong? Your bald lover didn't take you out to lunch today? As soon as those words came out of Mary's mouth, everyone burst out laughing. Benjamin and I had to drag Mary out of there right away to avoid any calamities. What are you guys doing? I'm not done yet. This isn't cool. Let's just stay out of it. What? She deserves it. You know the clearest what a horrible person she is, Sandra. Or have you forgotten how she picked on you? Well, it's true. I was also one of Dorothy's victims when I just got here. Ben and Mary were the ones who stuck up for me. That's also how our precious friendship all started. Ever since then, we've been the iconic trio of the smartest kids at school. Pretty sweet, huh? However, the recent dramas have undeniably affected our studies. It's like students are coming here just to gossip, and they keep chatting in class, making concentrating extra hard. Monday mornings became the biggest event in school. Everyone looked forward to it, guessing who's the next chosen one, as the embarrassing secrets continued seeping out. How Justin looks cool chewing his gum all the time, but he actually does this to mask his bad breath problem. Hardworking Julia bought her essays off the internet. The parking lot car spray painter turned out to be none other than Goody Two-Shoes Brandon. It became apparent that any one of us could be next. So people started to panic, praying that their name wouldn't be mentioned. Every Monday morning, I arrived at school to see everyone looking like zombies, cause they'd all stayed up all night waiting for the Quiet Night's post. The mystery blogger had to be one of us to know all kinds of personal secrets like this, so everyone became extra cautious of each other. It's a mess, and this has to stop. We needed to figure out who the Quiet Night was and stop this, but Mary wasn't convinced. How are we supposed to find them? There's zero clue. Stop wasting time. Let's just focus on studying, Sandra. There's no way they didn't leave any trace. We just have to stand up together. Nope. If you want to, then just do it alone. What's wrong with you? Weren't you usually the first one to avoid dramas like these? Because we could be next. So what? I'm not scared. I have nothing to hide. Then she left in a sulky manner. Mary might not care, but I did. I spent the night trying to piece the clues together when my phone had a pop-up. Was it 2 a.m. already? Who could it be this week? I pressed to see. It's Mary! Oh no, is it about that thing? Yep, that's it. The secret about Mary's background has been revealed. Her parents aren't successful business owners, and of course, Mary is not a rich mistress like how she always acted like either. I accidentally found out about this when I saw her bargaining about the rent in front of a small house in the suburbs. When I asked Mary why she had to lie like that, she just got all defensive. What do you know? If people knew the truth, they would laugh in my face. I, of course, didn't want to hurt Mary, so I always kept it a secret. But now, everyone has found out in the worst way. The next day, Ben and I saw Mary walking toward us, looking exhausted, while everyone's eyes were on her.
Yo, how'd you think she's able to afford those flashy outfits?
Didn't that blogger say she always wears cheap, secondhand clothes? Pathetic. Hearing those words, Ben and I gave those kids death stares and rushed to get Mary out of the crowd, but she suddenly snapped at me. Sandra, you're behind all of this, aren't you? Huh? What? Mary, what do you mean? Why would I do that? You're the only one who knew my secret. If it wasn't you, who else could it be? You are the quiet knight. What she said quickly caught everyone's attention, and I felt everyone's curious eyes fixed on us.
Mary, that's not right. Remember, it's Sandra who called on everyone to find the culprit.
That was clearly a distraction to fool everyone. Mary then continued explaining her reasonings for why she suspected me. The blogger only ever typed in lowercase just like I always did, and she also mentioned my habit of staying up late. To make it even worse, the next Monday, that blogger suddenly stopped posting, making everyone certain it was me. So I was instantly labeled a traitor to my friends and even a germ who raised hatred among students in this school. Everywhere I went, people badmouthed me, and no one except for Benjamin wanted to sit by me at lunch. I wasn't even allowed in the library anymore, as everyone would be talking about me, which would cause disturbance. Worst of all, the teachers hated me too. One time in math class, I volunteered to solve a difficult equation, but all I got back from the teacher was,
Sandra, if only you just used your intelligence for studying, not for messing up other people's lives.
Then everyone heartlessly laughed at my face. The tension was draining me, so I went out to take a breather. After recess, I got back to the classroom to find a box in my desk drawer. Oh no, wasn't it the love letters I'd written for Louis? I mean, yes, I used to have a crush on the basketball captain, but it was a long time ago, and I never sent the letters. How come they are all here? I sure had hidden them in the corner of my locker. Is it the creepy quiet knight messing with me? Ugh, that's enough. I gotta unmask this jerk ASAP. Who could it be? Who had the ability to spy on people undetected? I was trying to figure this out when a smug-looking Dorothy appeared. Geez, look at her. Can't believe she's the coward who destroys what she couldn't have. Too bad for Louis that he ended up involved in this. Oh, such a pathetic little girl. Doesn't even have the guts to send any of the letters. Oh my god. Did they just say letters? What letters? What on earth are you talking about? There's no mistaking your handwriting. She showed me bunches of photos of my letters. Oh no, did she take revenge on me because she thought I was the snitch of her dating news? Not leaving me a chance to explain, they just laughed and continued mocking me. I couldn't face going to school and being tormented for something I didn't even do. So I faked being sick to stay home for a few days. But it's been a week and I still didn't feel better. Suddenly, there was a strange sound by the window. Turns out it was Benjamin.
Sandra, please stop hiding away. You can't let them beat you. You're better than this.
What else can I do? Everyone's convinced it was me.
Follow me. I know someone who can help.
Now, I was sitting in a cafe with Benjamin, and Max, an IT genius in our school. Benjamin insisted this guy could help identify the anonymous blogger. After just a few minutes of checking the IP, Max has been able to track it down. But, it led to Mary's place? No way. This makes no sense. I gotta talk to Mary.
Calm down. Don't say a word about this to anyone for now. Just let me take care of it.
I had no clue what Benjamin was planning. He said he would help me clear up the case, but nothing happened for days, until now he insisted I'd come to watch this basketball game. What's the point? It just gave others a chance to mock me further. While immersed in my thoughts, suddenly I heard someone's voice on the loudspeaker. It was Benjamin. Hi everyone, I'm sure you guys are tired of the Quiet Nights blog by now, right? Yeah, at first, I just wanted to entertain you all a bit after boring hours of studying, but I guess it's no longer fun, huh? I'm sorry then, I'll stop now. Thanks for tuning in. What on earth is he doing? Now the entire sports hall was buzzing. Is it really you? Benjamin was about to reply when Mary jumped out.
No, it can't be you. Stop wasting time protecting Sandra. How could you possibly know where her love letters were kept? Or about Dorothy's secret?
So, you tell me, who knew those things then? Mary looked taken aback and confused. Then Dorothy appeared.
It's her. It's her who gave me Sandra's locker key. What? So it really was Mary. I was still hoping that Ben's friend made a mistake somewhere instead, but... Why, Mary? I don't understand. Of course you don't. You're not in my shoes to judge. Turns out at first, Mary created the blog for the sole purpose of getting revenge on Lewis for being a cheater. He always told Mary that he wanted to date in secret to avoid peering eyes, but it was just an excuse so he could sneak around with other girls. Which is why this was news to both Ben and me. How about the math teacher? What has he ever done to you? He had no work ethic, so he deserved it. I always studied really hard, but he said that girls like me only ever cared about our appearance. He still thought my good grades were from copying these two. And you, Dorothy, it serves you right for the arrogant habit of bossing newbies around. Then she blatantly left the crowd as if she had nothing to do with the school drama all this time. I tried to chase after her, but I was stuck amid this angry crowd. There's still something she hasn't explained yet. The following days, Mary still went to school, but all of the other students isolated her. Benjamin and I tried to approach her, but she went out of her way to avoid us. So, after school, we decided to follow her. We saw her going to the cafeteria, but not to buy things, but to help the lunch lady clean up. Mary, stop being like this. You've still got a friend in me, but don't you think I deserve an explanation too? She then finally sat down and talked to us. Mary would have stopped after exposing the 3 people she hated, but when she saw everyone eagerly waiting for the news every Monday, she found it interesting and continued to bring up other embarrassing things. But then, when things started getting serious, she panicked and looked for someone to blame, and that person was me! Because I was the one who first came up with the idea of tracking down this anonymous blogger. Furthermore, she was angry with me for finding out her secret. Envious because I got better grades than her, and jealous because I was closer to Ben than she was. Mary admitted she felt outshined and left out. So, you decided to expose your own secret you kept for so long just to frame me? Do you hate me that much? No, Sandra, it's not like that. I'm really sorry. As for that secret, I had tried to act like a hot girl from a rich family just to be worthy of that jerk Lewis. But since I know he's a bad guy, there's no point of keeping that secret anyway. Ben and I leaned over and hugged her, saying it was all okay. As long as we are honest from now on, we'd be able to sort everything out. After that, we helped Mary clean up the messy tables in the cafeteria. And can you believe it? The lunch lady is actually Mary's mother. She was the one who unintentionally told Mary all the petty secrets that everyone gossiped about while getting lunch. Mary has always hidden the fact her mom's the lunch lady, but after being exposed and boycotted, she gave up and decided not to try hard for the popular girl title anymore, but just to be herself. I knew that this was hard for Mary, but deep down she has a good heart, else she wouldn't have befriended me when I first started at this school. Living up to the expectations of being the school's it girl must have been exhausting. It's been a semester full of drama, hasn't it? Phew, lucky it's almost over. Now we're in a hurry to revise all lessons together to prepare finals week. We still compete with each other a lot, but this time it's fair and square. The 3 of us already decided that whoever gets the lowest score will have to take the other 2 out for dinner. Free food, here I come, as I definitely am not going to lose.